It is so fitting that we gather here today at the very location where the late Dr. Harold Franklin literally took his first steps toward integration of Auburn 6 years ago. It was inside the Ralph Brown Draughon Library, right behind me where everything started. And it's quite a surreal moment right now as we're in this place. And we stand in this spot and realize all that has taken place after January 4th, 1964.
In the fall of 2015, Dr. Franklin was honored at a dedication ceremony with a historical marker that was placed in the green space between the library and Mary Martin Hall, commemorating Auburn's desegregation. When Dr. Franklin spoke at that event, he said he wanted young people to have a positive impact in their communities and in the world, emphasizing that taking advantage of the education system was the way to make that happen. Last week, on January 4th, we had a small campus ceremony on the actual anniversary of the exact time, 60 years later, that Dr. Franklin registered for classes at 2:20 p.m. We invited those in attendance to share their thoughts, and I was so honored to share that moment with Harold Franklin's son, Harold Franklin Jr., and his grandson, Delbert Franklin.
A year after Dr. Franklin enrolled at Auburn, he transferred to the University of Denver when it became clear that his master's thesis would not be approved. Almost 55 years later, Auburn was able to correct that wrong. Dr. Franklin defended his thesis and received his master's degree in history from Auburn in 2020. He was quoted as saying at that time, "I'm glad I could do something to help other people." And my mom and dad always taught us that when you do something in life, try to do something that will help others as well. Dr. Franklin's integration of Auburn University set in motion change that continues to advance this institution to this very day. Auburn is a better institution because of Dr. Franklin's bravery 60 years ago.
In the 60 years since Dr. Franklin bravely walked across this campus to this library and registered to be a student at Auburn University, much has changed in many lives, including my own. On January 1st, 1970, 6 years after Dr. Franklin made it possible, I sat down in my room in my parents' home and did what my mom always insisted we do every New Year's. I wrote down my New Year's resolution for that year. My mom insisted that our goals be written down so that we be reminded of them throughout the year. So I went to my room and I wrote down on a piece of paper, quote, "to attend and play football at Auburn University." That piece of paper set me on a course that has led me here to you today. Surprisingly to me, the Auburn coaches welcomed me. Football is a macho thing. When it was time to fight, I fought. When I needed to make friends, I made friends. In 10 months, Auburn awarded me a full athletic scholarship. So how do I sum up my Auburn student experience? There were many victories, both on the field and in the classroom. There were also traumatic setbacks in our social life and the overall Auburn experience. We lived in two realities. We witnessed and continue to witness the university's acceptance of and ability to deal with the evolving and the changing world around us, while it also holds on and retains traditions, values, and customs. But we who were pioneers dreamed of this day. As President Roberts says, Auburn has earned the right to dream the biggest dreams. One of my favorite Native American sayings is, It is wise to learn from the past while keeping an eye peeled on tomorrow.
I would think that he would want me to share something that he shared with me, and we tried really hard to meet his request. I kept asking him, like, can we do anything for you? Just tell me, what can we do for you? And he started telling me about how lonely he was at Auburn. You know, he was away from his new son, his wife. You know, he was staying in a dorm completely by himself. He said, I want to find, there was a white male student who talked to me. He talked to me. He had conversations with me, even when the other white students were sort of getting on to him and scolding him because he was interacting with them. This is about the beginning. Integration is really about the beginning of us building a relationship and seeing people beyond the color of their skin and creating those types of relationships. That, to me, is the most, for him, the takeaway and the thing he wanted most, he said, I want to find my friend. He called that person his friend. That was the integration. The stats and checking the box and we have it first and all of that, that's just being invited to the party. But that one person that he called his friend asked him to date.